Yes, friends, welcome once again to the class and thank you for the love and affection you have given me in the last 9 months. Okay, thank you very much for that. And if you want to contact me on WhatsApp for some personal life issues on which you would like to make me videos, okay, so you have my number. This is my WhatsApp number. Okay, this is my WhatsApp number which all of you can note down, so that in case of any emergency you can contact me directly. But please do not call. Okay, don't call on this number. You should always message on WhatsApp. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 days to reply, but doesn't matter. Okay, so gravitation, let us start with this particular topic. And I am really sorry that I could not reply to each and every comment, because there were around 350 comments yesterday, so I was not able to reply to all of them. Only a few, one or two I could reply, so leave that. Anyways, you guys understand that if I don't reply to anyone's comment, that simply means that I haven't seen that comment. Okay, so if you want to ask any questions, then certainly this WhatsApp number will help you. This WhatsApp number you can certainly message me, and please do not call. Okay, please don't call, because I am very busy person, so I can't attend each and everyone's call. If everyone starts calling, all the 300 subscribers, if they start calling me, then it will be very difficult for me to manage. Okay, so see this gravitation. You have already learnt it in the lower classes. This is suppose your mass m1, this is suppose your mass m2. F force is acting between these masses m1 and m2. Okay, what is this F force? This is gravitational force. And suppose the distance between them is suppose is small r, then what is the gravitation force acting between them? The gravitation force acting between them is given by minus g m1 m2 divided by r square, where r will be certainly always greater than 0, because the distance between the two masses, or we can say shortest distance. Okay, the shortest distance between the two masses will be what we can say always positive, right? The shortest distance between the two masses will be always positive, so that's why this r will always be greater than 0. Okay, so what does the universal law of gravitation of Newton? Okay, this is Newtonian law of gravitation which we are learning right now. So two particles of masses m1 and m2, there are two particles, masses of them are m1 and m2, they are held at a fixed distance r. Okay, held at a fixed distance r, attract one another, they attract one another, and the force of attraction is given as follows. Okay, attract one another by the virtue of gravitational force. Okay, they attract one another by the virtue of gravitational force, and the force of attraction is given by F equal to minus g m1 m2 divided by r square, where r will be obviously always greater than 0, because shortest distance between two point masses can never be smaller than 0. Okay, so it will always be greater than 0. Negative sign simply implies that attractive nature of gravitational force. Okay, what does this negative sign imply? Negative sign simply implies that there is always attractive force. Whenever we talk about gravitational force, it is always attractive in nature. That's what is meant by this negative sign. Okay, so you must know the convention in physics that any attractive force is always shown with the help of a negative sign. Let me have some water, then we will move to the next slide. Okay, let me have some water, just a minute. So negative sign implies attractive nature of gravitational force. So G is equal to universal gravitational constant, and G equal to universal gravitational constant, its value is given 6. Its value is a universal constant. Okay, what do you have in electrostatics? In electrostatics you have force F, electrostatic force F, as equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 divided by r square. This is what? This is electrostatic force of attraction between two bodies. This is electrostatic force of attraction between two bodies. But in this particular electrostatic force of attraction between two bodies, this particular constant, okay, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, this is not a universal constant. Okay, not a universal constant means for a particular medium. Okay, for a particular medium it will be constant, because epsilon naught value is fixed for a particular medium. But suppose we change the medium, then what will happen? Suppose first of all we are keeping these two charges q1 and q2, suppose we are keeping them in air, suppose, okay, suppose we are keeping them in air, and another set of q1 and q2 charges, suppose we are keeping them in water, then do you think this constant will remain as it is? No, the constant value will be different for air medium. The constant value will be different for air medium and water medium. The value will be different. Why? Because with medium your epsilon naught changes. With medium your epsilon naught changes. Its value changes. Okay. So that's why this particular quantity 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, this quantity is not a universal constant in case of electrostatic force. But in case of gravitational force, this particular quantity 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This is a universal constant. Why is it a universal constant? Because no matter whether you go in space, no matter whether you stand on Earth, no matter whether you go on Saturn, okay, this value of G will never change. Okay, this value of universal gravitational constant will never change according to classical concept. Please note, I am talking about classical concept. Okay, I am talking about what? I am talking about Newton's gravitational law. So in Newton's gravitational law, this universal gravitational constant is independent of any factor. Okay, it does not depend on any factor. It is independent of all the factors. So your universal gravitational constant 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This constant remains the same no matter what are the situations surrounding the 2 point masses. Okay, so this is classical viewpoint. So according to classical viewpoint, this universal gravitational constant value will not change. But according to modern theories, okay, this is not a reality actually. This is not a reality. We are in our physics optional syllabus for civil services. In our physics optional syllabus for civil services, the only thing which we have to learn in our syllabus is Newton's concept of gravitation. That is the only thing which is there in our syllabus. Okay, but the gravitational concept has been further modified to a very higher levels. Okay, like Jayant Deshmukh Narlikar theory. Okay, Albert Einstein special relativity. Okay, so all these things are there. But as our syllabus restricts us, to Newtonian concept of gravitation, that's why we are only learning Newtonian concept of gravitation in our lecture. Okay, so in reality the concept of gravitation has been modified to much a higher degree. Okay, the modern theories are very different, and in that modern theory this universal gravitational constant is not an absolute constant. In those modern theories, what do they tell? What do these modern theories of gravitation tell? These modern theories of gravitation tell that 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square is a classical concept. If we go near a black hole, or if we go near a very highly massive object, okay, so in case of being near to black hole, in that case when we are near to a black hole in universe, then the value of this universal gravitational constant changes over there. Okay, because black hole is a very high gravitational mass object, and if the object is of very high gravitational mass, so high gravitational mass that even light cannot escape it, that's what is a black hole, right? So in that case the value of this universal gravitational constant and the Newton's whole concept of gravitation, in fact fails in that particular case if we go near a black hole. But when Newton gave his theory of gravitation, it was the year 1600 something. It was the year 1600 something when Newton gave his theory of gravitation, and in those olden days this theory played a very significant role in day-to-day life, because in everyday life this concept will hold good. Suppose you are sitting on a bench, okay, suppose you are sitting on a bench along with your friend, then what will happen? Suppose you are sitting on a bench along with your friend, then actually you and your friend will also attract each other with the force of gravitation. Okay, because your bodies also have mass, your bodies also have some mass associated with them, so you and your friend also will attract each other by the force of gravitation. But your mass is so less, okay, your mass is so minuscule in front of this gravitational constant, because it is 10 to the power minus 11, right? You can see the value, it is 10 to the power minus 11. So your friend and you if you try to measure the force of attraction between you and your friend, what will happen? Suppose you try to measure the force of attraction between you and your friend, so it will be 6.67. what will it be equal to? So it will be 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11, and suppose your weight is what? Your weight is suppose 80 kg and your friend's weight is suppose 75 kg. Okay, and this r, suppose the separation between both of you is suppose 1 meter. Okay, so this will be the situation, and if you find this particular value in Newton, 6.67 into 80 into 75 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton. Okay, this is the value of gravity in Newton. This is the force of gravitation in Newton which is acting. This is the force of gravitation in Newton which is acting between you and your friend. Okay, if you find its value, it will be around 10 to the power minus 10 Newton. Okay, something 10 to the power into 10 to the power minus 10 Newton. So it is of the order of 10 to the power minus 10 Newton. So such a minute force will not be experienced by you. Such a minute force will not be experienced by you, because the bench on which you are sitting, and your buttocks are kept on that bench. So there will be frictional force acting between your buttocks and that bench. So obviously both of you, even if both of you attract each other with 10 to the power minus 10 Newton, that force will be what? Insignificant. That force will be insignificant. Okay, but so even the frictional force or the force with which you stand on earth, all those forces will be able to they are much more greater than this 10 to the power minus 10 Newton. So in everyday life this force is not at all visible to us. Okay, but if we talk about something else, if we talk about celestial bodies such as earth, so if we talk about earth, what will happen? The gravitational force between earth and you, if we want to find out the gravitational force between earth and you, so what is there? The earth has a mass of 6 into 10 to the power 24 kg. Earth has a mass of what? 6 into 10 to the power 24 kg almost, and your mass is suppose 60 kg, and you and earth are separated by suppose 1 meter distance, right? So what is there? 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 into 6 into 10 to the power 24, that is the mass of earth, into 60, that is your mass, divided by 1 square, that is the distance between you and the earth. So as soon as you find this value, it is coming out to be a huge value, because 10 to the power minus 11 and 10 to the power 24 will yield you 10 to the power 12 newtons. Around, it is of the order of 10 to the power 12 Newton. So that's why in case of celestial bodies, because the mass is huge, this force, this particular gravitational force is experienceable. Okay, we can experience it. But in case of you and your friend whose masses are barely 80 and 75 kg, so in case of that, the gravitational force will not be even observed. Okay, so that is the thing. So that's why in everyday life this gravitational force is not visible. But although it is a very weak force, so gravitational force is what? It is a weak force. Although it is a weak force, still it is a long range force. Okay, although it is a weak force, still it is a long range force. Why it is a long range force? Because even the Neptune planet, you must be knowing that Neptune planet is the farthest planet from Sun. Neptune is farthest planet from Sun. So even the gravitational force of Sun is acting up to Neptune, Pluto, Kuiper belt objects. Okay, so up to there the gravitational force of Sun is acting. That's why they are revolving around the Sun. They are revolving around the Sun because even Neptune is attracted by the Sun by gravity. Even Pluto is attracted by Sun with its gravity. Even the Kuiper belt objects are attracted by the Sun by its gravity, right? So Neptune is the farthest planet and it is very far away from the Sun. Still it is attracted by the Sun by virtue of its gravity. So it means that this particular gravitational force, although it is weak in nature, although the gravitational force is weak in nature, yet it is a long range force. Okay, although it is weak in nature, yet it is a long range force. Okay, so now at r equal to 0, that is when your distance will be 0, f equal to infinity, that is undefined. So clearly from here, if you try to substitute value 0 over here, what will happen? 0 square will come in the denominator. 0 square in the denominator means 0 in the denominator. So as soon as you put 0 in the denominator, anything divided by 0 is actually indeterminable form. In the mathematics you have learnt already in 11th and 12th, L-Hospital rule and all those things. So what are those L-Hospital rule and etc.? You must be remembering indeterminate forms. Okay, so this particular, if you put r equal to 0 in that gravitational force equation, so it yields you f equal to infinity. Okay, because 0 is coming in the denominator and anything divided by 0 is what? Undefined. Why anything divided by 0 is undefined? Let me ask you one question. Why anything divided by 0? Why anything divided by 0 is undefined? Let us see. Suppose you say 8 divided by 0. Okay, why anything divided by 0 is undefined? I am telling you the reason. So if I write 4 by 2, what does it mean? 4 by 2 means that I will write 2 zeros are 0, 2 ones are 2, okay, and 2 twos are 4. I will write like this. So the value will be equal to 2, because in the table of 2, if I go 0, 1 and 2, if I go up to 2 in the table of 2, then I get 4. So that's why 4 by 2 equal to 2. Now I am writing 8 by 0. So do you think in the table of 0 ever 8 will ever come? Do you think in the table of 0 ever 8 will come? Even if I write 1 by 2 over here, then 2 0.5s are, okay, 2 0.5s are 1. Okay, so in the table of 2 1 also comes, although in the point value, but in the table of 2 1 will come. When we take 2 0.5s are, then 1 will come. So the value is defined in this case also. Okay, but do you think in the table of 0 8 will ever come? No, it will not come, because 0 zeros are 0, 0 ones are is also 0, 0 tens are is also 0, 0 thousands are is also 0. Okay, so that is why anything divided by 0 is undefined. Then you will say that why is 0 divided by 0 undefined? Why is 0 divided by 0 undefined then? Because in the table of 0 0 is coming always. So why is 0 divided by 0 undefined? It is undefined because you cannot say whether I have multiplied by 0 or by 1 or by 2 or by 10 or by 1000, because in the table of 0 only 0 is coming. 0 zeros is also 0, 0 ones is also 0, 0 twos is also 0, 0 threes is also 0. So what value should I assign to this? Whether I have multiplied this 0 by 1000 to reach here, whether I have multiplied this 0 by 8 to reach here, in all the cases the value is same. So it is also not defined. So that's why anything divided by 0 is not defined. Okay, and we call it infinity. We call it infinity. The infinity is just an approximation. Okay, infinity is what? It is just an approximation. Okay, now why it is an approximation? If I try to tell you, then suppose I want to take an approximation that I won't take 0, I don't want to take 0, but I will take such a small number like this. Okay, I will take such a small number like this. Okay, I am not taking 0, I am approximately taking 0 only, but I am taking suppose this number. Then if I want to write the table of this number, okay, reaching 8 is very tough. Okay, it will be very high number, very huge number. Okay, so that huge number will be called as infinity, and this particular quantity will be almost called as tending to 0. Okay, so that is the thing. So that is why anything divided by 0 is taken as infinity. That is an approximation. Okay, so let me have my tea, and let me have my tea just a second. Okay, I will have my tea. Let me pause for a second. Okay, let me pause it for a second. So I have taken my tea. Let us start now once again. Okay, so at r equal to 0 f is infinity. This law doesn't hold at r equal to 0. So r is equal to 0 is your singularity of law of gravitation. So in this particular thing, if you put r equal to 0, that will be what? Singularity of the law of gravitation. What is meant by singularity? Singularity means it will be outside. Okay, it will be outside of your domain. Okay, you cannot put that value in that particular expression. It will not be defined for that particular value. That expression which is given, that will not be defined for that particular value. Okay. Now gravitational field. Gravitational force experienced by unit mass at a point is the gravitational field at that point. Now this is your unit mass m0. Okay. Now whatever the gravitational force is experienced by this unit mass, okay, that will be called as gravitational field at that point. So F vector equal to gravitational force on a test point mass m naught at point P. So suppose F vector force is acting on this particular point mass m naught at this point P. Now this m naught must be a point mass. Okay. Now let us understand what this gravitational field actually is. Gravitational field at P, at this particular point P, the gravitational field, it is what gravitational force experienced by unit mass. Okay, unit mass. Now if we write the field E vector equal to, field is a vector quantity, force field is a vector quantity. So gravitational field E equal to F vector divided by m naught. Okay, it will be what? Gravitational field at E will be F vector divided by m naught. And accurately if we write, then this m naught must be tending to 0, so that this gravitational field is defined. Okay, so E vector equal to limit m naught tending to 0 F vector divided by m naught. Why we have taken m naught tending to 0? Why we have taken this m naught tending to 0? Because if we want to measure the value of field, okay, if we want to measure the value of field at this particular point, and suppose this mass m naught is very high, okay, it is very huge mass suppose, then certainly the value of field will be affected by the field of this itself. Okay, the value of field will also be affected by the field created by this particular mass. So the gravitational field will also be affected by the field created by this particular mass. Okay, so in order to avoid that, we are taking m naught tending to 0, so that this particular mass does not create any field. This particular mass does not create any significant gravitational field of itself. This particular mass does not create a significant gravitational field of itself. In order to do so, we are taking limit m naught tending to 0. Okay, so gravitational field at E will be E vector equal to F vector divided by m naught. So E vector is a point function, that is, E vector is what? It is a point function, that is E vector equal to E r vector. Now what is this? E is a point function, so E vector equal to E r vector. Now why we have put this r vector over here? Why we have put it with vector sign? Because in the case of potential, what did we do? In the case of potential, we used to write that V equal to V of r without putting a vector sign over here. Okay, without putting a vector sign over there, we used to simply write V equal to V of r. Then why we have put a vector sign over here inside this argument r? We have put a vector sign over there because your field E is a vector quantity. So suppose this is your point mass. Okay, this is your point mass and this is the r vector. Okay, this is the r vector, and from here the field is being created. From here field is being created. So the field will clearly be in this direction. In this particular direction the field will be there because it is attractive force. So it will be clearly dependent on r vector, because as soon as we change the direction of this r vector, the field direction will also change. Okay, so that's why we have put r vector, because it is depending on direction of r vector. But in case of potential, we were writing V of r. Why? Because in case of potential, the field was like this, but the potential was constant at all this particular point of radius r. Okay, because it was only depending on the radius r. It was a scalar quantity. Okay, potential was what? It was a scalar quantity, because at all the points of radius r, that is a spherical shaped surface will be there. Equipotential surface we call it. A spherical, if we have a point mass, then spherical surfaces will be there where potential will be same, equipotential surfaces. Okay, so they will all lie at the same distance r. So it is not depending on r vector, because if you go to this side r distance and if you go to this side r distance, potential is a scalar quantity, so doesn't matter whether you go in this direction or this direction. The r value, that is the potential value, will only depend on r, not r vector. Okay, so as potential is a scalar quantity, that's why, and it is a vector quantity, that's why it is a r vector over here inside the argument. So E vector is a point function. Okay, it is a point function. What does it mean? Point function means acting at a particular point. Okay, this E vector will be what? It will be a point function. So if you have a mass over here, and suppose this field E is acting in this direction, acting in this direction, acting in this direction, so at every point it is different. Okay, this field E is different at every point, and at this particular point the value will be less, but the direction will be towards this only, towards this mass only. So it is a point function because it varies from point to point, okay. Now the gravitational field due to a point mass, okay, the gravitational field due to a point mass, from here onwards we will learn in the next class. So thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel, because it takes a lot of efforts to make all these videos. So thank you very much.